Hey folks, it's Ben. We're here with our 1993 Lumina APV minivan with the 3800 series V6. We're going to be doing a water pump change. Let's go put it in the Quonset. Since we're doing this in the Quonset, we got to move it, but we don't necessarily want to get it too warm, so let's go ahead and give it a start. Hey, it's showing a little bit of fuel. That's good because it's pretty full at the moment. We're going to be changing out that sender here soon. So we've got our hood open, we've got access to the front end here. We can go ahead and open up our radiator cap, which just squirts at me a little bit, but it's just because it's friendly. So let's get rid of this stuff by draining it out. Now, where do we drain that out? Right over here on the driver's side. For jobs like this that tend to be really messy, and this goes for transmission filter changes and also coolant changes, especially if you're doing something like a water pump or just catching coolant out of the radiator, the bigger the better in the catch pan. This thing is awesome. It's actually an under the bed pan or container, but it's sealed so it doesn't leak, and it has wheels so it can roll, and it's big so you can completely just stick it under the car and do your thing, and it catches everything you need it to catch. So underneath the van, there's our little drain, and we just need to turn that lefty-loosey, so anti-clockwise, counterclockwise, and that should open up the drain and let everything out. So let's go with that and hope it's not a, hopefully it comes out pretty good and not very slowly. And it looks like it's just a dribbler. Some really come out and some just kind of come out. So our water pump isn't actually, I don't think, that hard to get to. It's actually right in the front of the motor. And of course I'm blocking my own light here, but we got four 10 millimeter bolts that hold on our pulley. And so we need to break that free. And then we're gonna undo the bolt. Serpentine tensioner is right there. So we should be able to pull on it a little bit and loosen our belt. Then we should be able to take our pulley off because we've broken them free. And then I think we have like, what, 8 bolts to take off? And some prying, and that should get our pump out. It's integral to the block, so we're just changing the front of the pump. So let's figure that out. This is actually the can you change a water pump with one hand challenge. So let's get one there. And I think if we leave the, oh, it's tightening it. I think if we leave the belt on right now, we should be able to get these bolts at least free enough so that we can then take the bolt off and not have to put any strain on the pump. Yeah, these are not on rock solid, so there is 4 to do. Oh, that might be tight. I need to get the 10 millimeter stubby one for that. One of the few remaining righty, loosey, lefty, tighty bolts there are on this unit, on a car like this, is actually the belt tensioner. So if you take your wrench, it's an 18 mil, and you actually go to loosen it, it actually pulls on the tensioner and releases the belt. And you just use your thumb, if you're shooting the camera, and slide it off the water pump, and then you're free. So now let's take off these bolts down here, which they are hand tightened, and we'll get this pulley off. Hopefully it'll just pop off, but we'll see. The proof is in the cat pudding. And before I get too crazy, I should, yeah, it's pretty free turning. I wasn't too concerned about the pump, but then I priced it out as to how inexpensive they are. I said, well, this is cheap insurance. Let's get this guy out of here. They're on a new one. And it is a new one. You don't actually bring back the core. So that's kind of neat too. So there's 4, and that comes right off. And it's fairly dirty inside, so that's not bad to take off and clean. Get it in the light here. Oh, there's smushed bugs. It's been in service for quite a while, unless it was changed without the so that's cool. Next, let's go to the pump. Kind of line up exactly what we're looking at here. This is our water pump. It's actually a fairly small assembly, and not all these holes are used. I think this one's not used and this one's not used. They might be used for prying the thing off, actually. You put a bolt in there, and but it's not threaded, so probably not. But here's our new pump, and our old, let's not spill those bolts, let's spill them in here. Should bolt up like that. So yeah, we're looking pretty good for replacing. And this one does have a metal impeller. I know in Fiero lands they can come with plastic, and that's not great. So not a lot to it, fairly simple. That's probably why it's so cheap. So let's take off, I think it's 7 10mm bolts and see if we can pry it off or it pops off. Popping off would be cool. You can see a little bit of my concern with this pump is when I was looking at it is we've got quite a bit of corrosion over here. So I didn't know what the heck was going on with that. So everything else looks good, but maybe that's coming from above, but looks like it might be a little wet there. Maybe the seal's a little wet. Tough to say. Let's change it, get it out of here. I'm just gonna start off at the top and using some Intel. Ooh, is that smaller than a 10? It is smaller than a 10. We gotta switch sockets. They're a little smaller than a 10. And we might be dealing with aluminum here too, so we'll proceed with caution. And that one way back is way back, so we won't be able to put a camera on it, but I'm gonna, oh wait, these look like they might be 10. They're bigger than 10, so we're dancing around. Looks like those might be 13s, those other ones 8s. I'll let you know when we find out. So the bolts came out with 0 issue. They all had the same torque on them, so it's almost as if they were factory. What I did is actually put them back into the new pump. My slight concern, I guess it shouldn't be because it's not a thing, but the two, they're not 13s, they're, yeah they are, they're 13 mil. There's 4 of them, there's 2 on this end and 2 on this end. Pull those out and lots of water came out, but in theory the gasket should hold them tight. There's no hole there, no hole there. So that's their location. So we'll clean them up, we'll put some anti-seize on them, we'll put them back in as soon as we get this other pump out. So now it's just held on with the friction and it's flat. It's a flat fit, so there's nothing holding it on now. It's just literally just stuck there through corrosion. As you can see down here with the lights. And there's a little tab obviously that's implied for using a bar like this one to get in here. And I don't want to leverage it off the alternator, but I'll find something to give it a little love with and see if we can't pry this thing off. So with my hammer and my little pry bar here, just got right in there and gave it a little tap and boom, we're free. And so with no bolts holding it on now, just gasket, boop, out she comes. And we can take a look at this thing and see that I've got gasket to remove, quite a bit of it. But here's our pump. It might not necessarily have been failing, but again, it's nice to get rid of it. Okay, that was rougher than I thought, and I broke some stuff while doing it. So getting the gasket material off the pump surface is crazy. I'm guessing this is maybe factory, so it's just persistent and on there. So I had a scraper and scraped everything. You see a couple scratches in the steel. It needs to be flat, machine flat. So it was just crazy to try and get that in there. And the gasket was also steel gray, so it's like, I got it, and then you're like, no, I don't have it. So you have to pretty much see with your fingers, make sure everything's metal and smooth and clear. So finally got that done. And what I broke was these 2 vacuum lines that come across here. One goes to the vacuum canister, which is the one I broke. And then another one cuts up here to those things, whatever it goes. There's lots of vacuum lines in here. It's almost like an 86 pickup, for heaven's sakes. We got some vacuum lines to figure out, and there's dirt down there too. Anyway, we're good. We're all cleared off. The 2 blank plates on the water pump, the spots that don't have bolts, there's 2 locating studs, so it's going to be super easy to put on. So I'm pretty happy with that. And our metal gasket, per the instruction, says use RTV if you need it. I don't think I do. I think we can put this guy on and squish it down and we're probably okay. But I'll grow to regret those words maybe, but we'll put it on as is, and if it leaks then we'll take it off and we'll put some water in it, but that's next. The nice thing about this metal gasket is that it's fairly thick. It's got some squishiness to it, so that might help us out. That surface, of course, is perfectly smooth. My other surface is pretty smooth. So between that and the compression, I think we'll be fine. And this pump specifically says metal gasket only. I don't know where I'd get another metal gasket, but I'm sure one's available somewhere. So I should be able to just puck this up, and then there's the pump with all my old bolts in it. We'll just, I'm going to clean these up actually on the bench grinder, and we're going to stick them all in. So
I'll do that right now. Sorry I can't time-lapse this. It's just, it's so cold in here, my camera won't do it. So I'll show you the next step, which will be it against and not torque down. All right, so there's our pump, all pretty and finger tighted in. So now I'm gonna slowly tighten them all to kind of tight, and then I gotta plug that vacuum line so that for now I can get the pump running. Because the issue I'm worried about is that I also happen to have cleaned the motor, so it's got water in it, but not antifreeze, and it's already like -1 outside, so the Quonset will be short behind it, and I got my heater cores full of water and stuff, so I got to get some ethylene glycol flowing around this thing, so that's why it's kind of a push to get this in. But now I'm going to tighten down all the bolts. How tight? Well, they weren't that tight to begin with, so I'm not going to make them crazy tight, but I'll make them so they'll work, and then we'll get the pulley back on and get the serpentine system back on, and then we'll be able to fill it up. So with the pump bolts torqued all the same and kind of tight, not really tight, but they didn't come off gross and I didn't put them on gross, and our 410 mils holding the pulley back on, we are technically good to go. All I have to do now is 2 more things. Put the belt on, which we need our 18, and we need to loop our belt around correct and all that fun stuff, and then we need to fill it full of coolant. Okay, mission accomplished. I believe I have this tightened up, but I better reach underneath to make sure. On my drain, I figured what's the harm. Oh, easy there, Slushy. Oh, it's not done, so that's good before I put coolant in it to make sure I had it tight. Okay, so the bleeder's open, our thing's open, and our drain's there, and our pump is installed. That's the handiest part. So let's empty the clear container first. It'll be 1 gallon. So, and hopefully our pump just doesn't leak out of the gate. That would suck. So there you go. That's the quick and dirty, I guess, on how to change a water pump. Mostly all I want to do right now is get the water circulated out, and it's all at the glycol. And then tomorrow we'll fire her up, get it up to temperature, up to pressure, and we'll do a thorough examination looking for leaks around the water pump and anywhere else that might occur. And we're golden. So with the system all assembled, I'm running a 7-pound radiator cap at the moment, just cause. We got a few things we need to check on. We're gonna make sure our drain plug isn't leaking, and I parked it over some nice white snow, so anything that's bad is gonna jump right out at us, right? So far so good on that. And then I have a cocaine mirror here and a flashlight. What I was doing is shining it down here. Being careful that there's an accessory belt. It's right there, right? And getting a good look all the way around the pump, making sure we don't have any of the green juicy juice coming out. And so far so good on that as well. You can tell your system's up to pressure or some pressure. Give your hose a squeeze. Now what I think we do have is a little bit of air in there. So at this point, with the pressure side being pressurized, hopefully, we can come in here with our screwdriver and tweak open our bleed valve. It should pop out like that. And it's bubbling a little bit. I don't know how much water's in there or not. We might need some more pressure. But that should vent out and then just be squirting out liquid at us. Perfect, right? That's what we're looking for. So once we get that bled, and that's it. You've changed the water pump in your 1992, 3, 4, 5 minivan with a 3.8 liter. Nice new shiny pulley down there too. If you have any questions, ask them please. I'm more than happy to answer them, or ask guys who know. If you have any comments, leave those as well. And subscribe to my channel, Turbo231, for more exciting van videos and other vehicles. And you've got the Silverado there. I gotta do a transmission line on that Ford. That's the Buick, you guys know, same motor as this car. And of course the Grand Prix, my favorite. And with that, you guys have a good day, and I'll leave you with another 20 seconds of awesome core idling engine. It's just searching, it's not that solid, like, running smooth thing, but we're going to work on that once we hit the sensors over here. Eventually going to replace just about everything on this van. Maybe not the fuel injectors, but definitely got to do a tune-up with spark plug wires, and these are original. That's why they've got numbers written on them. New spark plug wires, new spark plugs. Probably replace the coils while I'm at it. Maybe. We'll see.